Hi guys, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. Today I'm using the Summer Lights collection from Pink Paislee, and I've actually already worked with this collection. So I am just looking through what I have left, and I didn't have the complete collection. I just had some of the papers and some of the embellishments. So I'm starting with that photo of my two daughters and my husband pretending to be mermaids on a floaty in the pool. And there's the other layout that I had made. That's for my Find Your Mojo series, which takes place over on the Scrapbook and Cards Today website, like on their YouTube channel. And so I want this page to be the companion page to that one. So it's not a double page, but just a page that will face the other one. So I think that that often looks nice when I use similar collections together on pages that face each other, and also when they cover a really similar topic. So this is a second photo of the pool, the day that we spent at the pool. And I'm just going to mat it with black because I want to introduce some black to this page so that it will coordinate well with the page right next to it, which has quite a lot of black in it. So I'm going to mat this in black, and then I'm also going to put lots of other touches of black all throughout it. So at first I was thinking about taking like a squarish chunk of this paper with the words on it, and it does have the word mermaid in it, and I wanted to make sure that that was visible. But I kind of scrapped that idea and decided to go with some strips instead. And at this point, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I do love that background paper, that sky slash, I can't tell if it's kind of like water going into the sky. You can't quite see where the horizon is in that paper. And so anyhow, I definitely want that for my background, and I'm going to mat the whole thing in black. So let's pull off the manufacturer's strip. And I'm going to take a half an inch off of the top and then a half an inch off of this side. And the reason I didn't take a half an inch off of where the manufacturer's strip was and just kind of make it with one cut is that I thought that there was quite a bit more purple than there is blue at the bottom, and I wanted to keep some of that blue in the frame. So like I wanted to keep plenty of the blue in the page. So I'm starting by cutting strips, and then I decided I'm actually going to go with the angle of the words on this. Instead of cutting straight across, I'm going to cut on the angle and have these be, instead of strips of discontinued paper, they're going to be kind of like self-contained little strips of words. Self-contained meaning I'm not interrupting and kind of like cutting across through one of the words, which is often what I would do. And then it occurred to me that it kind of looks nice like this. And then I scooched it all down, and then to offset that, I scooched up the extra little set of words on the right-hand side. And so I'm using my grid mat to make sure that I'm setting it all up properly, because basically I want those words to be flat. Like I want those words to run horizontal on the page and not be at a weird angle. So the strips themselves will be at a weird angle, but the words will be perpendicular to the page, like at right angles, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to do the same with this, and I just used the lines on my grid mat to help me decide that. And then I just stuck those 3 strips down with my ATG, and one of them off to the side and up quite a bit. Like I want it to be noticeably up, not like I accidentally put it too high, but like it's purposely too high. And now I have these thicker alignment tools that American Crafts sent me, and I love them, and I use them in my other page, and now I'm using them in this page too. And I do still really love using waxed paper, and so I'm actually going to put the thicker alignment. I don't have to align these right now because I'm just roughly putting them onto a piece of wax paper so I can play around with placement. And so I'm not going to use the tool until I'm ready to actually place my phrase on the page. So my title here is called Dads Are Mermaids Too, and I was just dancing a little bit. I was in a really good mood when I was scrapbooking this and totally grooving to my playlist. So My phrase is dads are mermaids too. That's one of the hashtags that I used on this photo when I posted it on Instagram, and I thought it was kind of cute and kind of funny, and I just really liked it. I love how the word mermaids fits so nicely in that little bit of blue of the water, because I kind of oriented this photo so that the people were a little bit high in it, like so that the subject matter was in the top third instead of in the bottom third. And so I can kind of use that empty space of water to hold a little bit of my title. So I definitely want to use this mermaid sticker. It says, I love mermaids, and it has this iridescent mermaid on it, and it's a little bit translucent, or transparent, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And so I'm going to use it. I just stuck it onto a piece of wax paper so it doesn't get stuck to anything permanently, because I'm still just kind of playing around with placement. I thought I might layer 2 of these frames that come in the ephemera pack, but I'm deciding that that's a little bit too cluttered. Basically, I want this top cluster here to offset the weight that's going to be in the bottom left-hand corner of this. Like most of the center and left-hand side of this page will be filled with this heavy stuff, like those strips of paper and the photo and the title. And I'm not sure that much embellishing is going to go on, but because the structure of the layout itself is kind of busy enough. I'm just having a look at the washi tape and thinking about whether I might want to use some of those elements as part of my design, and just kind of, I guess, sort of taking hello there. I was just taking scope of what I have access to and what I might want to incorporate. So now I just pulled my Razzcog over, and I'm looking for any thickers that have like a watery feel or a blue-green turquoise feel or sparkly. All of those things are things that would make good mermaid letters in my mind. I'm thinking about switching out the letters for mermaid with a different font so that the word mermaid will stand out a little bit from the rest of my title. And so I pulled out a bunch, and then I thought about it, and you also saw me kind of just checking to see if I had all the letters that I'd need for the word mermaid. And then these Heidi Swapp see-through letters are also on my mind. So I took them out and I started looking through them, and then I decided that no, they're not going to, like, because they're see-through, they're just not going to hold up enough. I want the word mermaid to be emphasized, not de-emphasized. So by making it transparent with such a bold, like those silver letters that come with the Summer Lights collection, they're called Coastline. They're just so bold that I want any switching of fonts to, I want to make sure that the second font really holds up to the original font. And so the 2 collections I had there were Fitzgerald and Amy Tangerine's Scene. Both of them are glittery and turquoise, and so they fit quite well with my theme, but neither of them would stand up, I think, just from a design perspective to the letters that I already have. So then I thought, well, maybe I could just change the color. So I tried B13 of my Copic markers, and that was way, way, way too light. And so I switched to B18 or BG18. That was BG13 and now BG18. And I have used Copic markers on thickers before, especially shiny thickers. And I really love the watercolory look that the alcohol ink gives, as it kind of like, it pools up and doesn't spread very evenly. And if you do multiple coats, it really does have a bit of a watercolor look, but it's sort of like a metallic watercolor look. It's very, very pretty, especially on these iridescent, shiny, foily letter stickers. So I'm going back and adding a second coat. Alcohol markers dry really, really quickly. So by the time I'm done the first letters are dry. And these are my Copic markers. I don't use them all that often, but when I need them, I'm glad to have an assortment of different colors to choose from. And it makes, personalizing letter stickers and other embellishments really easy and fun. So I was just kind of adding some more, just kind of, I guess, pools of ink, just to make it pool up a little bit and look a little bit more messy, or just also it increases the pigment and makes them a little bit brighter. So there's that marker. And although it doesn't make mermaids look all that different, it does make it stand out a tiny little bit, and I'm happy with that. And you really do, with the alcohol markers on that foiled chipboard topping on those on those letter thickers, it really does look quite beautiful. So now I'm going to do my sewing, but first I have to decide how I'm going to trim this down. Am I going to let it go off the page, or am I going to trim it down to the inside pattern paper? And as you see, I'm trimming it down to the inside pattern paper so that my black mat will go all the way around the outside of this page. I really love how that looks. I might play around with this design again sometime. So I switched camera angles so that you can see a little bit better. I have a different tripod for my phone now, so it's not quite as high as I would like it to be. My previous sewing machine footage was a little bit kind of from a bit more of a bird's eye view, so you could see not straight overhead, but on an angle and just see a little bit better. But I think this is okay for now. I'm still troubleshooting, finding what to do since my other tripod is no longer available to use for this. But I'm just running black thread. I have black thread in the top and in the bobbin of my machine. This is my little Kenmore half-size sewing machine, and I'm just sewing all the way around the outside of this page with a straight stitch and trimming it off. And then I'm going to actually switch to a very tiny, tiny zigzag stitch. It's stitched number F, or letter F, on my machine. And it's the tiniest little zigzag that this machine does. It's so adorable. I love how it adds so much texture and interest and just a little bit more design. Like just a bit of a stronger design element than a straight stitch is what I mean. So I'm starting off of the strip and sewing all along the strip and then going off the top as well, so that the sewing extends at the top and at the bottom of these strips, so they look like they're sewn right onto the background page. And I'm just following the line of the strip itself so that I'm sure that these stitching lines are going to be straight with the strip, not with the overall page. It's always hard when you're working with a funny angle on your pages, because it's easy to kind of slip back into everything being right angles and perpendicular and parallel. Especially on the edge there, where it was right beside the other stitching, but I managed to keep it all pretty straight. There we go, just trimming up my little stray edges, like bits of thread. And this is a really fun design. I think I'll try to play with this design again sometime. It's a nice base from which you can then do a whole bunch of different things. So I have to grab my photo. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I might be playing around with my playlist at this point. Oh no, I was taking some pictures. I just liked that base so much that I took some pictures for reference because, like I said, I might want to use that again sometime. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive here, and I went a little overboard, but that's okay. I'm actually going to pull some of them off because the part under Sophie's elbows, like these in the corner there, is going to hold my title. So I want it to be flush with the page down there, but I don't mind if it's popped up a little bit on the other three corners. So there we go. And now that it's time to actually position this, I'm going to use my alignment tool. And what I find, this is my second time using this tool, and what I find really helpful is to use the second little line. So there's a whole bunch of horizontal lines along the edge of that alignment ruler. And I like putting my thickers along the second line because that allows me to have enough of them hanging over that you can easily just kind of stick it down onto your page. So I wanted the M to, like the second M, to kind of overlap with that white border on the photo and also the black edge of the matting on the photo. And now I'm just going to decide on the placement of the word R. And I can do that because this ruler is clear. I can decide which, and again, I want it to be on the second line as I line these up, the second little grid line. And then I can kind of decide what my spacing is, and then I can use the same spacing next time. So I don't actually have to be lining it up right now, but I am just because I want to, I guess. it's easier that way. So I'm just double checking that it is the same number of lines between the top of the M and the end, like between the top of the word mermaids and the bottom of the word R, and I'm putting the same amount of space between dads and R. And then I'll do the same thing with the word tool, or two. It looks like tool, doesn't it? Because of that exclamation point. Two. So now I could have lined this up on the bottom of that ruler, and that would have made it even easier for me to check the spacing and make sure that the spacing was right. But I just did it on the top, and then I just eyeballed it. That tool is very handy. It's handier than I thought it would be, actually, so I'm pleased about it. I thought I'd put a little bit of washi tape along the top and the bottom of the title just to add a little bit of interest around the title and have something that I can then repeat up in my little corner here. And I'll just talk about this whole, there's a bit of an evolution here. So I'm thinking I need something beside the word R. At first I thought a shell, and then I moved the shell down to the T, and I'm going to put this little star here. Now all along I don't really love the star because it's a solid yellow instead of having a white outline around the edge of it. And I thought maybe I could like outline it in black or do something like that. I'm thinking about that. But meanwhile, I'm more sure of what I want to do up here. So I'll do this first. So first I'm going to mat this pink sticker, this pink transparent sticker on a piece of white cardstock. I'm trimming it down with an ever so tiny little itsy bitsy border around the edge of that sticker, just for a teensy bit of interest. It also picks up on the edges that are around the outsides of all of those words on the strips. Now I'm tracing that frame on a piece of vellum, and then I'm just cutting well inside of where I traced so that this piece of vellum will definitely fit inside of the back of the frame. And so that's going to hold not really journaling, but just some phrases that kind of relate to that day. I don't have to do a whole lot of journaling about this. There's not really a story about it. It's just a silly photo. So I'm looking at my roller date stamps, and I have these little index cards that give me reference of what's on the roller date stamp, so I don't have to figure it out by looking at them backwards and reversing it in my mind. And so I decided to go with a Vicky Bouton phrase stamp because I love it so much. I love the phrases, I love the fonts, and so I'm just randomly stamping a bunch of different phrases from that roller date stamp. It's not a roller date stamp, it's a roller phrase stamp. And now I'll use more Stampin' Dimensionals to pop up my little mermaid embellishment and layer it on top of the frame. Putting away my StazOn, I did use StazOn ink because of the vellum. Vellum is a little bit slippery and it's harder to stamp on than paper. And so now I'm outlining with my Sharpie pen just to add a little bit of impact to that frame and emphasize its shape a little bit. And now here I am repeating that washi tape right here. That washi tape is a really easy thing to repeat because it's so transparent and so soft, you almost don't even see it. I grabbed my Freckle Fawn embellishment kit for the month of July, and I absolutely love these washi tape phrases and words. And so I thought maybe I could get these onto the page. I love how the yellow picks up on the yellow in the floaty, and there's also plenty of yellow in the word strips as well that I've used. And so I also have these rubber pieces, and I thought having fun was kind of a good sentiment and also the right colors that I was looking for to balance off with the yellow that I'm adding. And I am cutting them quite a bit thinner so that they fit better in the place that I want them to be. And now at this point, I'm feeling like the top cluster that I'm working on right now is just way too detailed compared to the bottom cluster. So the bottom cluster has lots of big, bold elements and hardly any detail. And then the top is like this cluster of a whole bunch of details in a really small spot. So I thought that's going to have to change, but I don't know exactly how. So I'm going to play around down here a little bit first. So the first thing I did was I used the chipboard star in the Freckled Fawn kit to replace the star that I didn't like so much that was in the ephemera pack. And now I'm thinking about using a few other bits of chipboard. These are little chipboard white phrases, and I thought if I put some down below and some up top, then that could offset. And then I thought maybe I could bring some of these washi phrases down and that could offset it. But then I have this big clump of yellow, the yellow two phrases and like the two words and also the star right beside each other. It just kind of felt a little bit too much. Like, I don't know, it seemed like it just wasn't working for me. You'll see me try lots of different things with the chipboard, and I'm just kind of thinking. And then I thought maybe I'll move cuteness. No, I guess I'll leave it, but I'll take this off. Maybe I'll replace it with something else. I'm feeling like if there's so much detail up top, maybe I need to put more detail down at the bottom. And that's why I was thinking about adding more detail down at the bottom. But I actually really like the bottom, so I don't want to change it. And so I'm thinking, what on earth am I going to do here? Maybe I'm just looking at it too closely and it's not as bad as I think it is. So then I thought I'll add, it's not really journaling, it's just a little caption. It says, pool time at Fee and Brian's, July 2017. And I did it in gray so it would not be too bold and not really distract your attention away from it. Now I think I'm done, so I'm showing you this in close up. But I'm not done. I'm going to outline the little tiny shell. And the reason I'm outlining the little shell is so that it balances a little bit better with that chipboard star from Freckled Fawn, because the chipboard star has some black outlines on it. And so I thought at first I was using my Sharpie marker, but it was too heavy. So I switched to a .005 pen, which is my narrowest pen. And I'm looking at it and thinking, it's okay. I think I'm done. And then I decided to pull off that washi tape because it was kind of closing in the bottom part from the top part a little bit too much. I want there to be a little bit more flow. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you another change that I made. But for now, I'll just let you take a look at this close up. The other change I actually made after I had already taken pictures and already started my process video and was looking at it and thought, there's something wrong here. So I actually changed it and took new pictures, and I'll show you what I came up with. So see that cuteness sticker, the cuteness washi tape up by the mermaid and the washi tape above it? It was kind of creating a trapped space there. That huge space above the word dads is like, even though it's open, like you can see there's a little channel that goes from having fun to the dotted washi to the cuteness washi. There's a little channel there, but it still feels like that white space is a little bit too trapped. So what I did was I took off the cuteness and I shortened the dotted washi tape so that there's a wider channel there, so that it feels like there's just a little bit more flow of negative space on this page. And I really like that look quite a bit better. And it wasn't until I was looking at it on my Flickr account, actually, that I looked at it and I was like, whoa, there's something really wrong up at the top. And so sometimes that just goes to show that sometimes just taking a look at something from a different angle or taking a picture and then looking at it later can help you see some of the problems. I don't think that the top is necessarily too detailed. I think it just was trapping all of that negative space, and that's what I was feeling a little unsure about with this one. So I hope that you've found this process helpful. We all struggle with figuring out our designs. I hope that you found it helpful to struggle along with me. Take care and have a really great scrappy week. Here are some links that you can check out if you haven't subscribed already or want to see some of my other videos. Take care and have a great week.